Yes, yes, yes. Quick question for you. Do you think that is everybody online today, maybe on Facebook, saying they're making money, really, really making money, right? My name is Andrew Atuga. I'm a home business entrepreneur, and today I want to share with you why I was stuck in my internet business or my business online for 6 years without making a single penny. Exactly 6 years, right? I wasn't making any single dime at all. It wasn't like I was going in profit and loss. I was not even making any money at all, right? And I just want to share with you why that was the case and how you can avoid it too if you're in the same industry. And to be honest, a lot of people online today are really in the same situation. They're kind of like saying they're making money, but they're really not making money. So I just want to share with you why my situation was like that, and maybe you can relate and maybe you can learn from that. So back to a little bit of a backstory. As far as I can remember, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I've always wanted to be the person that run my own show. I didn't want to work for anyone. And it wasn't because of an egotistical thing. It was just because of the way I was. It's just, maybe you're the same. You just want like freedom. You want to be free. You want to be like, oh, no worry, just get my thing done, right? And that's where I was, and that's how I remember I've been all my life, right? So, but going back to all the way back to 2010, I remember meeting my girlfriend and moving in with my girlfriend. We had this small room that we'd rented, and we had to go for this small room because I was very adamant on going on this route. It's the only thing I wanted to do, right? And although we didn't have a lot of income, I thought, you know what? Screw that. I just want to do my thing. I don't want to do anything else. Forget it. This is what I want to do. So nobody tell me what to do, right? And I'd be the one staying at home doing this research, going online, checking what people are doing. Really, just reading information. And for years, I would do this. For years and months, I'll be researching and reading and researching and reading. Sometimes I will implement them. Sometimes I couldn't implement them. And the more I searched, right? It's like there was no answer. There's a, when people tell you the what's the problem is, they tell you where the problem came from, they tell you why the problem, they never tell you the solution. They're like, okay, you're not gonna get the solution. You want to get the solution, you need to buy my product for like $255,000, and you're thinking like, what the heck, right? And that's where I was just digging around, and every time I got into free info, it dug a new hole, and I had to go research on that. And I kept going round in circles looking for the way out. So this is where I was, and I remember that I was so difficult. I just wouldn't buy that from anybody, and it was a good thing and it was a bad thing, right? Because the bad thing was we didn't have any enough income. The good thing was I was very determined, and that kind of like gave me some answers, okay? But I was really looking at free ways of doing stuff, and that really didn't help because I was time rich but cash poor. I didn't have a lot of cash, but I had a lot of time on my hands to go research and do stuff and learn about stuff. And unfortunately, I was learning the wrong information. I remember there was a time I actually stayed on my laptop from like, should I say, from 6 p.m. all the way to 3 a.m. in the morning, just looking at how to set something up, how to set up a blog. And I would stay up all this night. I stayed up all night just trying to figure out, how do we set up this thing? How do you move a picture to the left or to the right? And it took me hours and hours trying to sort this thing out. And I just couldn't get that photo to just move. And that's where I was, right? So we lived in there for a while. And I remember it got to a point where she was actually getting ill because she had to work all these hours just to make sure that all the bills were paid, everything was done, and it got to a time I started feeling bad. It's like, okay, now we got to do something about this. So, and nothing was working at this point. I had spent quite a few years, like 2 to 3 years, trying to get to understand this thing, like to 2013, I think, or 2012. And I thought, okay, you know what, this is time to go look for something else. So I actually left online a little bit and went to look for a job. And that's the problem, right? The problem is if you're not getting income now, you will be forced to go get income from a job, right? And that's where I was. I was forced to go get an actual income just by doing what I hated to do the most. But it had to be done. Bills had to be paid. right? Things had to be done. So I went and I got a job, and it was okay. I got some income, and to be honest, this helped me as well to reinvest back into my learning, into my education. So I went to get a job, and I remember this is the first time we actually was able to go, rent out a whole apartment. Like, this is a whole apartment for just us. There's nobody. There's no sharing of bathrooms or anything like crazy like that. It was so cool. This is the first time we did that, and we were amazed. Although it wasn't the best place, it was a good place, right? And to be honest, you ask me now, I would never live there again. I remember there was a day, it was a Saturday, we both went to work, and we went to work and came back home, and we could, before we entered the flat, we could smell gas everywhere. It was like, where's the smell coming from? This whole place smells like it could explode in any second. And so we decided to walk around the building before we go in, and we discovered somebody had taken the time out while we were away working to cut out all our gas copper pipes. You know, like the gas pipes that carried, gas into the building. Somebody took time out to just cut all of it out so they can go sell it. Like, this is the kind of area we lived in. And I thought, this is when I kind of like thought, okay, we either have to do something about this situation. Like, we have to increase this income. So one way or the other, we gotta have to leave here because this is not a safe place to live, right? So I had a choice. I had a choice to either improve my job and get more income from my job, or take my entrepreneurship more seriously and get some answers from there and get a second income. At the point, I wasn't looking for a lot. I was looking for a couple of $100 a month extra, right? So the first option wasn't an option because let's face it, I wasn't like a dead end job. I was working as a hospital porter, and there was not a lot of options left for me. So the other option was to go back into a business and try and earn some extra income. So this is when I actually turned into a business module like network marketing, and I was like, okay, somebody came to me, told me about it. I was like, oh wow, this could help me make some extra income. So I straight away jumped on board, and that didn't work either, right? I jumped from business to business, and I changed models, and I changed this. I kept chopping and changing because I blamed everything apart from me. I blamed everything apart from my knowledge. As far as I'm aware, I had done enough research. I had been online for a long time, and I've been reading a lot. I've been watching all these amazing free videos, and I should have some results. Like, oh, I know a lot. Like, I was like, to me, I was like this knowledgeable guy. Like, I knew a lot, but my bank account was empty. So this is where I was at the point. And I did business after business after business after business, and it wasn't working. And so one day I was actually listening to, but for some reason I happened to have listened. I think my boss came with a CD from Tony Robbins, and he actually started playing these CDs. And I overheard that if you're not getting results, it means that you don't know something. You have to go find out another way to do it. So I thought, okay, that makes sense. Let's go find out how to do it again. Now, at this point, I had already gone 5 to 6, almost 6 years into my online business. What kind of business module I have done. I'd gone 5 to 6 years without making any money at all. I know some people have done more than that. But that's how far I had gone without making a single penny. I had invested and invested. But one thing I forgot to invest in was myself. I was buying all these products, buying all these, joining this business there, joining that business there. I even bought push button software. Could you believe that? I bought push button software to get me free traffic or whatever they called it without investing in my education. That's how crazy it was, right? So we did this over and over and over and over. At this point, I thought, we need to go get a solution. We need to find out what to do. This is when I kind of like turned back online. I came back online. I was like, okay, this time, what I'm going to do is I will go look for somebody that knows this stuff or they've got experience from it. And then I will pay them to teach me, right? Or I will buy a course that teaches me how to do this. So I went on another journey. And this time the journey was buy a course or buy a product or invest in my education. That was the journey now. I had changed plans. So this is when I met my first who would be my first mentor online. So I went online, I started searching. I started searching. I came across this guy. And so I joined his business module, and he was teaching some cool stuff. So I decided to, get a piece of what he was teaching. And this guy had made multiple figures just by blogging. I was at the time I was like, what? Somebody can do that just by blogging? And I spent almost months trying to figure out how to set this thing up. And somebody's already set it up, and they've been making waves and built huge, massive businesses in a matter of 3-4 years just by sharing content. So I decided to learn from this guy, and I started learning, and this is when I came up with the plan. And this was the plan. The plan was that at this point, I'm going to share enough content to get to my ideal prospects. I wanted them to find me instead of me looking for them, right? At this point, I had a business, I had a product that I wanted to promote. Before I didn't have one. Before I thought, oh, let's go make money online. Oh yeah, it's so cool. And I'd be going around in circles without a goal, without a vision, without a plan. I was just going. Now this time I was learning from somebody, right? And there was a plan. And I knew what I wanted to do. I knew what I had to do, and I had a product to promote. So it made life so easy for me to just go, okay, this is step 1, this is step 2, this is step 3, this is step 4. And one of the things I learned that actually started changing the course of my business and the course of my life and my business was this. You've got to get 2 lessons. Lesson number 1 is I needed to share enough content to attract my ideal prospect, right? They would only come to me if I share something valuable. That's number 1. Number 2, I needed to get enough eyeballs on what I do to get the results I'm looking for. If I'm not getting enough eyeballs on what I'm doing, then it means that I'm going to be getting the same results over and over again. So these were the 2 things. So I did this, and it started working, right? And funny enough, I started getting some results. I was like, wow, the first time someone bought something for $10, I was like, oh my God, somebody bought something for $10. I was like, I've been online 6 years and somebody bought something for $10 and I was over the roof. I was like, $10, yes. But then I was rejoicing because I had come 6 years without a penny. And now I knew once somebody has bought something for $10, I could get somebody to buy something for $100. So I can do it 10 times and get $100, right? And so we did it again and we did it again. And this thing started picking up. It started picking momentum. And in no time, I had a few $100 days. I was like, oh my gosh, I had $100 day, my first $100 day. And every time that increases, like I had just hit a new target, I would be so excited and so joyful about this, right? And it was a good thing. So the plan now is we created a plan. The plan was simply a simple system. And the simple system is like, we got to attract people, we got to get eyeballs, and we got to make some sales. So we created a system around this. And I used the system in a business module I had just entered, and I started getting results. I started getting people asking me exactly, how can we do this? How can we join your business? And I remember very well, there is a particular company and a product I wasn't promoting anymore, and the people somebody actually reached out to me and said, I want to buy this product. How can I get it? I was thinking, I don't promote it anymore. And they were so vexed. It was like, why have you still got your content up? And it's all because